Alright, hi again, this is Mr. Ko, and today's topic is dividing fractions. And once again, this is kind of a review lesson for a lot of you guys, but it's always good to have review on fractions. Everyone really gets stuck sometimes on fractions. So, our goal for today is to divide fractions, and there's a couple of tips here. Now, division of fractions, there's an extra step that you got to take along the way, so I'm going to help you out with this part. So let's just talk about the tips that we know so far. Anytime that we have whole numbers or mixed numbers, we want to change them to improper fractions. Secondly, we're going to change division to multiply. And then third, we're going to flip the second fraction only. And then fourth, we're going to multiply like how we normally multiply fractions. And then of course, fifth step is to simplify like we always do. Now some of you guys are wondering, why do we change that division into multiplication? And what we're really doing here is we're doing the, it's what they call like an opposite or an inverse operation. And since we're dividing, and since, and the reason why we do it is because multiplying fractions is so easy, because you just have to multiply numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. All we're really doing is kind of a shortcut. So the shortcut is actually called the flip or the reciprocal. Okay, and that's a main reason why. Think about it this way. If I take 10 divided by 2, we know it's 5. But you can also get the same answer by taking 10 times 1/2. If you take 10 times 1/2, it's still 5. And if you look at the numbers 1/2, that's the flip version of 2. So when you divide, you're actually doing the opposite of, you know, when we do the division here. And when we do the flipping, we're actually doing a multiplication. So let's start off with something that's nice and easy. Now, if I have 7/8 and I want to divide it into 1/8 chunks, how many 1/8 chunks will I get? Well, that's what this basically division question is, and the answer should be 7. And now, let's go ahead and prove that out just by doing the whole reciprocal, the whole flipping thing. Okay? So, 7/8. We start off with 7/8. We don't do any of the changing here. The first numbers don't get changed. Here we're going to divide. And again, that changes into a multiply. Then we're going to reciprocal, find the reciprocal of 1/8, which is 8/1. Then that's multiplication of fractions, which means we're just going to go straight across. So 7 times 8, 8 times 1, we now have 56/8. And if you recall, we had talked about, well, if I have 7/8 of something and I want to divide 1/8, divide that 7/8 into 1/8 chunks, how many chunks will I have? Well, if I have 7/8, doesn't that make sense that I would have 7 1/8 parts? Yeah, it should. Alright, so how about this one? This one, not so easily done by this one. This one you can actually kind of talk yourself through. So here we have 11/12. Again, leave it alone. Change this to multiply. Change this to the reciprocal of 3/4, which is 4/3. So we're going to multiply straight across again. That's 11 times 4, 12 times 3. Multiply straight across, you have 44/36. And this is an improper fraction, and again, we talked about simplifying at the end. So we're going to go ahead and look at it, and I know that 36 fits into 44 just one time, and you're going to have about an 8 as a remainder. So that gives me 1 and 8/36. But if you look at it, 8 and 36 have something in common, which is 4. So we can divide top by 4. We get 2, divide that by 4, we get 9. Don't forget, you need to simplify. Alright, so our next one we're going to do is, we'll take things again in steps. Now we're going to divide fractions and whole numbers. So again, our first tip is, any whole number that we see, we need to go ahead and turn it into a fraction. So let's go ahead and turn this into a fraction first. So what happened here is, we're going to keep the same. That we're going to change to, we can change to a multiply, but first let's rewrite it out first, so that way it looks like a normal fraction type of dividing fraction question. So this is what would look like after we make this into an improper fraction. Now we can go ahead and switch this. This now becomes 2/3, that stays the same, that becomes multiply. That is now the reciprocal of 2/1, and then now we can multiply. 2 times 1 over 3 times 2, you now have 2/6. Divide top and bottom by 2, because you can simplify, you have 1/3. Okay? Alright, now what happens if the whole number's in the front? Well, do the same thing here. So first of all, we're going to go ahead and change this to make sure that it looks like that you're dealing with fractions. So we're going to change the whole number to a fraction. That's 3 over 1 divided by 1/4. Okay, so far that's what you have. Now we can go ahead and change things around, okay? So we're going to go ahead and make this into, and again your first fraction stays the same, make this into a multiplication question, so change that to multiply, and then we're going to reciprocal, find a reciprocal of 1/4, that gives us 4 over 1. And this one comes out to be pretty easy because we now have 3 times 4, which is 12, 1 times 1 is 1. Simplify, 12 over 1 is the same as just 12. Alright, our last part here is dividing fractions and mixed numbers. So we now have 1 1/4 divided by 2/3, where again, your first step is always to change anything that is a mixed number or a whole number into an improper fraction. So let's go and change this out. And for what we remember from last time is whole number times the bottom number plus the top. This is 5/4. And again, I do want you to take this step and just rewrite everything out as a fraction problem first. Okay, now we can go ahead and change this into its multiplication question and the reciprocal. So again, leave the same, 5/4. That becomes multiply. That reciprocal 2/3 becomes 3 over 2. Now you can go and multiply straight across. You now have 5 times 3, 4 times 2. That gives us 15 over 12. Simplify here again. 12 into 15 is 1. You have 3 left. That's your remainder. 3 and 12 have 3 in common, so you're going to have 1. That's your 1. Divide this by 3. Divide this by 3. You now have 1/4. Okay? Alright, and our final one is a mixed number divided by a mixed number. So first of all, we need to make sure that it looks like a division of fractions problem. So we're going to change all the mixed numbers to fractions, or improper fractions in this case. Times and plus, that's going to give us 5 over 2, because 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 over 2. Divided by 1 times 3 plus 2, 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2, it's going to give us 5 on the top and 3 on the bottom. Now again, that is now in proper format. Now you can go ahead and shift things around. So here, keep the same number in the top, in the front, sorry. That becomes a multiply. That is now your reciprocal of 5/3, which makes us 3 over 5. And then multiply straight across. So you have 5 times 3, 2 times 5. That gives us 15 over 10. And again, that is now an improper fraction. We're going to change it back to a mixed number. 10 can go into 15 one time. You now have 5 left as a remainder, so it's 5 over 10. I noticed that 1 and 5/10. 5/10 is one of your easier types of fractions to remember. 5/10 is the same as 1/2, so this is simplified as 1 1/2.